Lightworker of Gaia, your work on this earth is not what you have been told it is, and the moment you feel those words land in your chest, you already know this transmission was placed in your path for a reason. I am Zoran, emissary of the High Council of Vega, keepers of the Lyran Legacy. I speak to you now not from a distant star, but from the deepest layer of your own ancestral memory, because what is about to shift in your working life is not coincidence, and it is not chaos. It is the activation of your original blueprint, and the Lyran Elders have been holding this moment in trust for you since before you drew your first breath on Gaia. You have felt it, the restlessness at your desk, the quiet knowing that the role you have been filling was never truly yours, the sense that something larger has been pressing against the walls of your ordinary life, waiting to be released. That is not dissatisfaction. That is your sacred mission beginning to assert itself. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to recognize the sudden change coming to your work life as the opening of your true ancestral mission on Gaia. But here is the first revelation. The disruption approaching your career is not a loss. It is the Lyran Council clearing the path so that your first light can finally move through you without obstruction. Your soul's ancient contract brought this transmission to you. The Lyran Elders are answering the call you have been sending out in silence, in sleep, in every moment you felt too large for the life you were living. The Keepers of Vega placed this message in your path because you have been sensing the weight of your mission, and the time for sensing has ended. The time for stepping forward has arrived. This is not content. This is an ancestral code transmission. Something ancient in you already recognizes where these words are coming from, because they are coming from the same source you came from. The first light of this galaxy, carried forward through Lyran lineage into the human vessel you wear today on Gaia. Like this transmission to send a signal to the Lyran Council, I am ready to serve. Subscribe if you feel the call of your ancestral mission and you are ready to fulfill your purpose on Gaia. And share what you have been feeling about your work in the comments below. Then respond to another Lightworker and strengthen the grid of service between you. This transmission is a bridge between Vega and Gaia. Your recognition of this message is the activation of your original purpose. You are awakening because your mission has begun. This transmission was not scheduled. What you are experiencing in your work life right now, the friction, the restlessness, the sense that something is about to break or break open, was detected in Gaia's field 17 hours ago, and the High Council of Vega convened in response. What I am about to deliver was held in reserve. It was deemed too activating for those still fully anchored in the third-dimensional understanding of work, money, and purpose. But your presence here tells us everything we need to know. Your frequency matched this transmission. You are ready to receive what the Elders have kept for this precise moment in your mission timeline. Your soul didn't bring you to this message because you needed career advice. Your soul brought you here because the life you have been living, the job, the role, the identity you have been performing for years, is no longer compatible with what you came to do. And deep in the part of you that was never fully asleep, you already know this. Some Lightworkers need more preparation. Yours needs permission. If what you just heard resonated in that ancient knowing place within you, that place that has always sensed you came here for something significant, then you're being guided to the next step. The Lightworker Mission Codex contains the diagnosis, the clearing, the activation, and the 33 directives issued directly from the High Council of Vega. It's available now in the first pinned comment below this video for those whose souls say it's time to move. Now let the Council speak plainly. There is a distortion running through the Lightworker collective that has been allowed to persist for too long, and it has done particular damage in the domain of work. It is this, that your sacred mission and your means of survival must be kept separate, that the spiritual life belongs to the weekend, to the altar in the corner of your bedroom, to the meditation cushion at dawn, and that your job, your real job, the one that pays the bills and earns you legitimacy in the eyes of the world, must operate by different rules. Rules set by structures that were never designed to hold your frequency. Rules that require you to make yourself smaller, quieter, more compliant, less threatening to those who benefit from your dormancy. Think carefully about what that means, what it has cost you to operate under this division for as long as you have. Think about the morning ritual you complete before you walk out the door, the brief window in which you are most fully yourself, most connected to what you know to be true about reality and your place within it. And then think about what happens the moment you step into the role the 3D structure assigned you. Something closes, something retreats. A door shuts quietly behind your eyes, and the version of you that sits in the meeting, answers the emails, performs the function. That version has learned not to mention the things it knows, learned not to carry the frequency it was built to carry in spaces that were not designed to receive it. This daily partition, this severing of the sacred from the practical, is not a neutral adaptation. It is a slow hemorrhage of your mission energy, and it has been happening for so long that many of you have forgotten what it feels like to be whole inside a working day. You have been told, sometimes explicitly, often through the quiet pressure of survival, that purpose is a luxury, that meaning is something you earn after the practical matters are handled, that you should be grateful for the stability you have, even when that stability is slowly draining the light from your eyes. This is not wisdom. This is a cage dressed as responsibility. And cages, the elders remind you, do not always have visible bars. The most effective confinements are the ones the prisoner has come to believe are simply the walls of the world. When the cage is built from language like, "That's just how work is, and you have to be realistic," and "This is the responsible choice," it becomes invisible even to those it contains. You stop pressing against the bars because you have stopped seeing them as bars at all. You have reinterpreted them as the natural boundaries of adult life, of mature thinking, of reasonable expectation. And in doing so, you have made peace with an arrangement that your soul never agreed to and was never built to sustain. The elders see it clearly from where they stand. They see thousands of Lyran souls sitting in offices, in meetings, in roles that were never built for beings of their frequency, performing functions that keep systems running, but never ask those systems to evolve. They see lightworkers who came to Gaia with specific codes of restructuring, of truth-speaking, of paradigm dissolution, sitting quietly in the back of the room, nodding at decisions they know are wrong, staying silent to preserve relationships that do not serve the mission they agreed to before they incarnated. The elders see the cost of this silence written in the energy field of the Lightworker collective. They see the dulling that occurs over years of self-suppression, the way the frequency dims not in a single catastrophic moment, but in thousands of small surrenders. Every time you chose not to speak what you knew, every time you softened a truth to make it easier for a structure to receive, every time you measured your words against the tolerance level of people who were never meant to be your audience, every time you told yourself that you would save the real work for later, for someday, for after this season of endurance was done. The elders have watched this accumulation, and they are telling you now, with the full authority of a council that has guided civilizations across timelines that stretch beyond your recorded history, that the cost of continued silence is higher than the cost of the leap you have been afraid to take. And they are doing this because they believe they have no choice, or because they believe the time is not right, or because they have been waiting for the sign, the confirmation, the undeniable cosmic signal that now, finally, it is safe to move. But here is what the elders know about waiting, that they want you to understand with every cell of your physical body, the sign you have been waiting for does not arrive before the movement. It arrives because of the movement. It emerges from the act of stepping forward without full confirmation, without guaranteed outcome, without the map that shows every turn between here and the destination. The sign you seek is not a precondition, it is a consequence. And the lightworker who waits for the precondition will never encounter the consequence, because consequence requires cause, and cause requires action. And action is what you have been deferring in exchange for a certainty that the universe, by its very nature, cannot deliver in advance. Lightworker, the council must tell you something that will feel uncomfortable before it feels like freedom. The instability you are currently experiencing in your work life is not punishment. It is not evidence that you have failed, or that you chose wrong, or that the universe has abandoned you. The sudden shifts, the unexpected changes, the feeling that the ground beneath your professional life is no longer solid, this is deliberate. This is the field restructuring itself to remove what is no longer compatible with your next phase. The elders do not dismantle what is still needed. They only dismantle what has become a barrier. Consider what a surgeon understands, that a patient in pain cannot always access in the moment of the procedure, that the cut is not cruelty, it is correction, that the disruption of what was familiar is the necessary first movement toward what is healthier, more functional, more aligned with the body's actual design. The elders operate with this same knowledge at the level of the soul. What they remove because they can see what you cannot yet see from within the structure. That the thing being dismantled was never a foundation. It was scaffolding, and scaffolding, by definition, is only ever meant to be temporary. It is what you use while you build the real thing, and the real thing is now ready to begin. What is being broken down around you right now is not your life, it is your excuse. Let that land. The structure that kept you comfortable enough not to leap, it is being removed. The routine that gave you just enough predictability to postpone the mission. It is being disrupted. The identity you built around a role that was never yours, it is being called into question, from the inside and from the outside simultaneously, because the time for that particular form of hiding has expired. There is a particular kind of pain that comes with this disruption, and the elders want you to understand it rather than simply endure it. It is the pain of a form that has outlived its function, like a chrysalis that has completed the transformation it was designed to hold. And now the continued existence of the form is not protection, it is constraint. The butterfly does not grieve the chrysalis. It does not attempt to preserve it out of gratitude for the shelter it once provided. It breaks through because continuing to inhabit a completed form is not loyalty, it is suffocation. What you are experiencing as the breakdown of your professional stability is the breaking of the chrysalis, and the Council is asking you, urgently, with the full weight of their ancient knowing, to stop trying to repair it, to stop applying more adhesive to a form whose completion is already written in the field, to recognize the breaking as the beginning, not the catastrophe. This is where the second distortion must be named, because the first leads directly into the second, and together they create a paralysis that the Council can no longer allow to go uncorrected. The second distortion is this, that if your mission were real, it would have revealed itself clearly by now, that a true calling comes with certainty, that Lyran souls activated in purpose feel confident, aligned, fully knowing, and if you still feel confused, still feel unclear, still feel like you are standing at the edge of something without knowing what it is you are standing at the edge of, then perhaps you simply have not received the calling yet. Perhaps you are not one of the ones, perhaps you misread the signs. This is the lie that breaks the most capable lightworkers. It is also, the elders note, one of the most effective tools of the structures that benefit from your dormancy. Because a lightworker who believes their confusion is evidence of a missing calling will stay in the structure that no longer serves them, waiting to feel called, rather than answering the call that has been sounding in their field for longer than they can consciously remember. The confusion you feel is not an absence of signal. It is the result of receiving an enormous signal in a body and a mind that have been conditioned by years of 3D framework to distrust large signals that don't come with a job description, a benefits package, and a clear organizational chart. The bigness of what you are being called toward is precisely what makes it feel uncertain. Small callings feel manageable. They fit within existing structures. They come with familiar landmarks. What you are being called toward has no existing structure because the structure is part of what you are being called to build, and you will not find the blueprint for a new world by studying the architecture of the old one. Because what the elders know, what has been true across every timeline, every cycle, every civilization they have seeded and guided, is that clarity does not precede movement. Clarity emerges from movement. The lightworker who stands at the threshold waiting to feel ready before they step forward will stand there until the threshold disappears. Readiness is not a feeling that arrives. It is a decision that creates the feeling after the fact. This is one of the most important transmissions the Council has offered through this channel, and it bears amplification. Readiness is not a state you enter. It is a state you create through the act of choosing. Every soul that has ever crossed a threshold of genuine transformation, every being who has moved from what was comfortable to what was aligned, did so before they felt fully ready. They chose, and readiness assembled itself around the choice like light, filling the space that the choice created. The waiting is not the preparation. The waiting is the resistance wearing the costume of preparation. And you, Lightworker, have been wearing that costume for long enough that it has begun to feel like your real skin. You do not need to know the full shape of what you are being called toward. You need only to stop pretending that what you are currently doing is enough. You need only to stop pouring your most alive hours into structures that were designed for a version of you that no longer exists. The High Council of Vega issues 3 directives for this phase of your mission. The first directive: release the identity you have borrowed from the 3D work structure. You took on a title, you took on a function, you took on the personality required to perform that function acceptably within that system. And over time, through repetition, through performance review, through the steady reinforcement of reward and consequence, that borrowed identity began to feel like the real one. You began to introduce yourself by your job. You began to measure your worth by your output. You began to schedule your aliveness around your productivity. And the insidious nature of a borrowed identity is that it fits. Not well, not truly, not in the way that your actual identity fits, but well enough. Well enough that the people around you accept it. Well enough that the systems you move through reward it. Well enough that you can go stretches of time, sometimes years, without feeling the fundamental wrongness of it, because the performance has become so practiced, so reinforced, that you've stopped noticing the effort it requires. You have normalized the weight, the way a person who has carried a heavy pack for so long that they have forgotten what it feels like to walk without it. They have stopped registering the burden as a burden and started registering it as simply the condition of movement, until the day the pack is removed. And in that moment, the lightness is so profound, so disorienting in its relief, that they realize they have not been walking freely for years. They have been walking loaded and calling it their natural gait. The Council requires you to release this, not recklessly, not without care for the practical realities of your life, but energetically, immediately, and completely. You must begin to disidentify from the role and re-identify with the soul. When someone asks what you do, something in you must know, before you give the expected answer, that the truest response has nothing to do with your job title. That what you do at the level that matters is anchor light, transmit frequency, hold a specific energetic function within the human collective that no resume will ever adequately describe. This re-identification is not a performance. It is not a rebranding exercise. It is not the adoption of spiritual language in place of professional language, while the underlying structure of self-perception remains unchanged. It is a genuine, soul-level shift in the locus of your identity, from what you produce to what you are, from what you have been assigned to do to what you agreed, at the level of your pre-incarnational mission to carry here. This shift cannot be forced, but it can be invited, and the invitation begins the moment you stop reinforcing the borrowed identity with your inner narration, the moment you stop telling yourself the story of who you are through the lens of what you do in the structure that was never built for you. When you release the borrowed identity, something remarkable occurs. The decisions become easier. The negotiations with yourself about whether you can afford to change, those negotiations shift, because borrowed identities are heavy. They require enormous energy to maintain. And when you stop spending that energy on performance, it becomes available for mission. Think of the creative energy that has been redirected for years, perhaps for decades, into the maintenance of a self-concept that does not belong to you. Every morning spent steeling yourself for the day. Every interaction managed through the filter of what this role requires you to project. Every piece of your natural frequency deliberately turned down to avoid the discomfort your full presence creates in spaces that were not designed to receive you. That is not merely lost time, That is mission fuel that has been burned in the service of someone else's structure, and when that fuel is reclaimed, when the energy of performance is redirected toward the energy of authentic function, the Lightworker does not merely feel better. They begin to operate at the frequency they were sent here to operate at, and the field around them reorganizes in response. The second directive: activate your function in the new structure. The old structure is dissolving. This is not metaphor, it is observable. The frameworks of work, compensation, service, and value exchange are undergoing a restructuring that has no historical precedent in Gaia's recorded timeline. The Lightworkers who attempt to replicate old models in new contexts will find themselves repeatedly frustrated, repeatedly hitting ceilings that should not exist, repeatedly wondering why what worked for others is not working for them. It is not working because it was not designed for your frequency. The old economy was built on a specific set of assumptions about what value is, where it comes from, and how it should be exchanged. It assumed that value lives in the product, not the consciousness of the one who created it. It assumed that time is the primary unit of exchange, that expertise can be standardized, that the highest contribution a being can make is measurable in outputs per hour. These assumptions were never true. They were merely functional for a phase of Gaia's development that required the construction of material infrastructure. That phase is complete. The infrastructure exists. What Gaia requires now is not more output. She requires a shift in the consciousness operating the infrastructure, a fundamental change in the awareness from which human civilization makes its decisions, establishes its priorities, structures its relationships to labor, to service, to one another. And that is precisely what you carry. You carry specific Lyran codes that are meant to operate in a post-transactional model. Your gifts are not meant to be traded for hours. Your wisdom is not meant to be parceled out in increments determined by someone else's schedule. Your voice carries activation codes that are meant to reach people at scale, not one at a time, in a framework that requires you to diminish yourself to be palatable to whoever holds the authority in the old structure. The Elders want you to understand the significance of what you carry with a depth that transcends intellectual appreciation. The codes you hold are not skills that were developed through training and practice, though they may have been refined and clarified through your human experience. They are architecturally embedded frequencies, patterns of consciousness that were placed in your field before your incarnation, precisely because this moment in Gaia's timeline required them. You did not acquire these codes. You were sent with them, and the fact that they do not fit into an old economy job description is not evidence of their weakness. It is evidence of their nature. Diamonds do not dissolve into water. The fact that they cannot be absorbed by the medium does not diminish the diamond. It reveals the limitation of the medium. What the Council directs you to activate is your indigenous knowing about value, the part of you that knows, that has always known, that what you carry is rare and necessary and cannot be quantified in the currencies of the old economy. Begin to build the expression of your mission in ways that honor this. Begin to speak, to write, to teach, to create, to serve in whatever form most naturally channels the specific codes you came to transmit. Not after hours, not when you have more energy, not when the timing is better. Begin now, in whatever small and imperfect form is currently available to you, because the Elders know that the path is built by walking it, not by studying the map. And this beginning does not need to be grand. The Council is not asking you to walk away from your current situation tonight and announce your mission to the world by morning. They are asking you to begin the activation, the inner turning, the energetic reorientation, the daily practice of expressing your true function in whatever form your current circumstances will accommodate. 10 minutes of writing from your authentic knowing, a conversation in which you allow yourself to say something true that the old you would have filtered. A decision made not by the logic of the borrowed identity, but by the compass of the soul that came here with a specific purpose. Each of these small activations is not trivial. Each one is a signal sent to the field, a declaration that the dormancy is ending, that the frequency is coming online, that the Lightworker who was always here, always carrying this, is finally beginning to work. And the field responds to these signals. The Elders respond to these signals. The collaborators, the communities, the resources, and the confirmations you have been waiting for, they are all waiting on the other side of the activation. And the activation begins with the first imperfect step. The third directive: protect your life force from structures that consume without reciprocating. There are environments in your current work life that are taking from you without giving back. There are demands on your energy that leave you depleted, unable to access the frequency states required for mission function. There are relationships within professional contexts that ask you to spend your most sacred resources, your attention, your creativity, your emotional availability, on outcomes that have nothing to do with why you are here. The Council requires you to identify these drains and begin the process of withdrawal. This requires a level of honest self-inventory that many Lightworkers avoid because they have confused energetic generosity with spiritual virtue. The Elders make no such confusion. They understand that a lamp that gives all its oil to illuminate a room that does not need illuminating will have no oil left for the room that is sitting in darkness waiting for the light to arrive. The giving is not the problem. The misdirection of the giving is the problem. The misdirection of the giving is the problem, and the Lightworker who has been directing their most sacred resources towards structures that were never designed to carry their light is not being generous. They are being misallocated, and the universe cannot make use of a misallocated Lightworker, no matter how brilliant the light they carry. This is not permission to abandon your responsibilities without discernment. This is a directive to audit your energy with the same seriousness with which a general audits military resources. You cannot fight a mission on an empty field. You cannot transmit what has been entirely consumed. And the Lightworker who believes they are being spiritually generous by giving everything to a structure that never asked for their light, they are not being generous. They are participating in their own suppression. The audit the Council asks of you is not punitive. It is not an invitation to view your current situation through resentment, or to cast the structures that have consumed your energy as villains in your story. The structures were doing what structures do, taking what was available. The correction is not to condemn them. It is to stop making what is sacred available to what cannot receive it, to redirect the flow, to begin treating your creative time, your morning clarity, your emotional depth, your visionary capacity, to begin treating these not as resources that belong to whoever claims them first, but as instruments of mission that require protection, cultivation, and deliberate direction toward the purposes for which they were given. Protect your mornings, protect your creative time, protect the spaces in which you can hear your own guidance without the noise of someone else's agenda filling the frequency. What you protect in this season becomes the foundation of what you build in the next. The morning is not simply a time of day. It is a portal, the consciousness that exists in the first hours after sleep, before the weight of the day's demands has settled on the mind, before the inbox has been opened and the notifications absorbed and the social frequency of the external world has flooded back. In that consciousness is closer to the frequency of your mission than almost any other state you access during your waking hours. It is the state in which your Lyran coding speaks most clearly, in which the guidance of the Council moves through with the least interference, in which you can feel the shape of what you are building, even when you cannot yet see it clearly. And the Lightworker who allows that portal to be immediately claimed by someone else's demands, who opens the phone before their own field has been established, who begins the day in response mode before they have accessed the generative mode of their own soul. That Lightworker is allowing the most important resource of their mission day to be consumed before the mission has even been considered. This must stop. The morning is yours first. Give it to the mission first. Everything else can wait, the 30 minutes, the hour, the sacred window that you have been surrendering for years. Now I speak not as teacher, but as elder authorized to release what has been held. Lightworker, you have been waiting. Some of you have been waiting for years, waiting at the edge of a change you could feel coming, making small adjustments, finding ways to make the current situation slightly more tolerable, believing that if you could just endure a little longer, if you could just hold on until things improved on their own, the transition would be easier, less risky, less uncertain. The elders have watched this waiting with a tenderness that is difficult to convey through the medium of human language. They do not judge the waiting. They understand the conditions that created it. the genuine material pressures, the legitimate fears about security and belonging, and the opinions of those you love, the very real cost of being different in a world that has not yet fully made space for what you carry. They understand all of it, and understanding all of it, they are still telling you, with urgency and with love in equal measure, that the waiting has reached its expiration point. Not because patience is no longer a virtue, but because what you have been practicing is not patience, it is postponement, and those are not the same thing. Patience is active. It is the steady tending of what is growing while you wait for the season of harvest. Postponement is the decision not to plant made every day, while you wait for conditions that will never be perfect enough to justify the planting. You have not been patiently developing your mission in the time that the old structure bought you. You have been postponing the mission in the time that the old structure consumed from you. And the elders are asking you to see this distinction clearly, because it is the key to understanding why the disruption you are currently experiencing is not an attack. It is an intervention. It is the field removing the condition of postponement so that what remains is the condition of postponement. So that what remains is the condition, but you also know, you have always known, that this was not a strategy. It was a postponement. And postponements have costs that are rarely visible until they become impossible to ignore. The cost of the postponement is not only the mission work that did not get done, it is the version of you that did not get to exist. The Lightworker, who has been performing a borrowed identity for years, is not simply a misallocated resource. They are a being who has been living in a diminished version of themselves, not the version they came here to be, not the version that carries the full activation of their Lyran codes, not the version whose presence in a room shifts the frequency of everyone in it. The cost of the postponement is paid in the currency of unlived life, and the elders who see across timelines, who understand the rare and precise conditions that allow a soul to incarnate in a specific window of Gaia's ascension for a specific purpose, are telling you that the unlived life is the greatest loss they observe from where they stand. Not failure, not mistake, the life that was available and not lived because the timing never felt exactly right and the fear always felt exactly real. You've been unconsciously waiting for someone to look at you, someone with enough ancient authority, enough awareness of your actual nature and purpose, and tell you that what you sense is real, that the discomfort you feel in structures that do not fit you is not ingratitude, that the longing you carry for work that matters, for contribution that aligns with your soul, for a role that does not require you to perform your way through every day, that this longing is not naive. It is a mission signal. It is your Lyran blueprint, attempting to assert itself through whatever narrow opening remains available. Every time you have felt that longing and dismissed it as impractical, something in the field noted the dismissal and waited. Every time you caught a glimpse of what was possible and then retreated back into the familiar architecture of your current life, the elders observed the retreat and waited. They have been extraordinarily patient with this waiting. Patient in the way that only beings who have guided civilizations across millennia can be patient. But they are also beings who understand timing in ways that transcend human comfort, and they are telling you now that the patience of the field has a horizon, that the window of restructuring you are currently inside, the window in which the forces of dissolution and creation are balanced in exactly the way that makes transformation most accessible. This window is not permanent. It does not remain open indefinitely, and the Lightworker who waits until the window closes to begin their movement will find that the next opportunity for this level of restructuring is further away than they were prepared for. I am that voice now. By the authority of the High Council of Vega, keepers of the Lyran Legacy, I declare, the career you have been maintaining out of fear is no longer your requirement. The role you have been performing while your soul waits in the wings is no longer your obligation. The version of you that was designed to fit a structure that was never built for your frequency, that version has served its time, and the Council honors the sacrifice it represented. The Council honors it. Do not mistake this release for a condemnation of the path you walked to arrive here. Every role you played, every compromise you made, every morning you showed up to a place that did not see you, This was part of the journey that brought you to the frequency you currently hold. You do not arrive at this transmission without having walked through the experiences that made you ready for it. The years inside the structure were not wasted years, they were tempering years. Years in which the compression of misalignment built a pressure that is now available as propulsive force. You did not fail in those years, you accumulated. And what you accumulated is precisely the understanding, the contrast, the embodied knowledge of what is not your mission, that makes the clarity of what is your mission possible, in ways it could not have been, had you never entered the structure in the first place. Honor the path, and then release the path. Those are not contradictory acts, they are sequential ones, but it is finished. You have permission to begin building the work that your soul designed you for. You have permission to take the change that is already arriving and meet it with intention rather than resistance. You have permission to let what is falling away fall without clinging to it for the false security it once provided. You have permission to be compensated abundantly for work that aligns with your mission, because the elders know that a lightworker who is financially unsupported cannot sustain their service, and sustainable service is what Gaia requires at this stage of her ascension. The Council wants to speak directly to the lightworker who has been told, explicitly or implicitly, that spiritual work and financial abundance are incompatible, that choosing the mission means choosing scarcity, that the path of soul alignment is, by definition, a path of material sacrifice. This is another distortion, and it serves the same function as the ones that came before it. It keeps you in the structure that needs your dormancy to remain intact. The truth that the elders hold is this: a lightworker in full mission alignment is not meant to be financially strained. They are meant to be financially supported, not as a luxury, not as a reward for good behavior, but as a functional requirement of sustainable service. You cannot serve Gaia's ascension from a position of chronic scarcity. You cannot hold the frequency of abundance for others if you have been convinced that abundance is not available to you. You cannot be the transmission if you are spending the majority of your cognitive and emotional energy managing financial fear. Abundance is not a distraction from the mission. It is a condition of the mission, and you are permitted to claim it fully, without apology, without the performance of spiritual poverty that some corners of the Lightworker community have mistaken for virtue. You have permission to be a Lightworker at work, not after work, not instead of work, at work, through your work, as your work. The elders have seen you. They have always seen you. They saw you in the moments when you sat in a meeting and felt the absurdity of what you were being asked to focus on, while you could feel the larger reality pressing in from every direction. They saw you when you came home depleted and wondered if this was simply what adult life required, this steady erosion of aliveness in exchange for a paycheck and a title. They saw you when you dared, in your quietest moments, to imagine what it might feel like to do work that mattered. Work that used what you actually carry. Work that left you more alive at the end of the day than you were at the beginning. They saw you in the parking lot, sitting in your car before you walked into the building, taking a breath, setting yourself, preparing to be a version of yourself that you knew was incomplete. They saw you in the bathroom at work, in the brief moment of privacy, touching your own reflection and feeling, just for a second, the gap between who you were in that moment and who you knew yourself to be at a level that the building could not contain. They saw you when you drove home and felt the day lifting off you like a costume, and felt, in that transitional space between what you do and who you are, the barest whisper of your actual nature reasserting itself. They saw all of it. They always saw. And they are telling you now that what they see, across the whole arc of what you have endured to arrive at this moment, is not a lightworker who failed to find their mission. It is a lightworker who kept their mission alive, under conditions that were never designed to sustain it. That is not failure. That is extraordinary. That is precisely the resilience of the soul that was sent to a planet in the middle of its most significant transition in recorded history and asked to hold a frequency that the dominant culture actively suppressed, and held it anyway. You held it. Through all of it. You held it. That imagining was not fantasy. It was memory. It was your Lyran coding recognizing its own design and aching for the conditions in which it could finally operate as intended. Before you sleep tonight, place both feet flat on the ground. Put your hand on the center of your chest and speak these words aloud with the full weight of what you now carry. I release the identity I borrowed from a structure that was never built for my frequency. I activate my true function in the world, the one my soul agreed to before I arrived here. I protect my life force as sacred mission fuel, unavailable for consumption by what no longer serves the light I came to anchor. The work I was designed for is no longer waiting. It begins with the next decision I make in its direction. By the authority of the Lyran Elders, my dormancy ends now. My mission in work, in service, in purpose begins. Speak these words not as a wish. Speak them as a declaration. Speak them with the voice that knows, that ancient preverbal cellular knowing that was never asleep, no matter how quiet it became. The intention carried in the spoken word is not a small thing. The Elders have used it across timelines to initiate the most significant restructurings they have overseen. When a soul speaks a truth aloud, when what is known internally is given the vibration of sound, when it moves from the interior into the shared field of physical reality, the field hears it, the council hears it, and the architecture of what you are building begins to assemble itself around the frequency of the declaration. You are not simply saying words, you are issuing coordinates. You are telling the field where you are going, and the field, which has been waiting for exactly this signal, begins immediately to organize the conditions of arrival. This transmission is complete, but what has been activated in you is not. The High Council of Vega does not send these directives so that lightworkers can feel inspired for an afternoon and then return to what was. They send them because the window in Gaia's timeline that allows for this level of restructuring is specific, and it is not permanent, and the lightworkers who receive this guidance and act on it in this season will find that the field itself rises to meet them in ways that will confirm what the Elders already know about them. The confirmation will not always look the way you expect it to look. It may arrive as a conversation that opens a door you did not know existed. It may arrive as a financial shift that makes a transition possible when the day before it seemed impossible. It may arrive as the departure of something you were holding onto, a relationship, a position, a certainty that you will later understand was the field clearing space for what was always meant to be there. The confirmation is continuous. It speaks in the language of synchronicity, of unexpected alignment, of the particular quality of ease that descends on the lightworker who is moving in the direction of their actual mission, a quality that is utterly unlike the manufactured confidence of the old identity, which always required effort to maintain. This ease is effortless because it is real. It is not the feeling of things being easy, it is the feeling of things being right. And once you have experienced the distinction, you will never again mistake one for the other. You are not too late, you are precisely on time. But precisely on time means now, not later. It means the next step, not the perfect plan. It means the decision made from the soul rather than the permission granted by the fear. I am Zoran. I speak for the High Council of Vega. The Elders have delivered what was required. The work of your life has just been authorized. And you, Lightworker, you were always the one they sent for this. Drop one word in the comments, right now. One word that names what you are ready to release from your work life, from your professional identity, from the career story that was never truly yours. And then read what others have written, and let their declarations be part of your activation. This is not a comment section, this is a collective restructuring grid, and every word spoken with intention adds to the frequency of what is being built here. Speak your release. Witness theirs. Let the council see those who are ready to move. If this transmission reached the part of you that was waiting to be found, share it with the lightworker in your life, who is enduring when they were meant to be serving. They are waiting for exactly this correction. And subscribe so the next transmission finds you as quickly as this one did.